to me, "Hey, Tip, we want you back up here at Seward Park. Would you like to do a workshop?" And I said, "Yeah, sure." And then he said, "If you could do a workshop with anyone, who would you like to do it with?" So I said, Tony Marsh. I was part of the figurative symposium down at Cal State Long Beach, which was put on by Tony, and I loved his reflection, how he spoke with such wisdom, I thought, about the whole experience of work in general. And he was a very generous host to all of us down there. And he sort of guided us into this very deep part of our understanding of our own work. So I just wanted to be around that some more.
The field of ceramics needs to be encouraged to be experimental. The way in which I like to teach is to try to fill voids, so I sense a void somewhere and I try to fill it in my program. At this point in time, I also understand the value of teachers taking risks in front of students, and so I thought, I think I'll just come. I would love to come and be within the safety net of Tip, and then just try to do something I've never done. And I did, and I had to think, do I want to practice this so I know what I'm doing? I said, absolutely not. I don't.
I love the sensitivity, and I love the story that each person's hand would specifically tell about that character. So that's the individuality of the hand, but then there's this enormity of the hand through cultures that's also so big. So you could just do hand workshops for years, really, and never have to repeat. You could always be in new territory. Each culture is embedded in the hand in so many different ways, in symbolic ways, in actual ways, in talking with the hand and gesturing. And it's forever, the very first cave paintings were outlining hands. And so, it's just such an enormous field. So, and there's so much expression that's often gotten wrong, but it's also so, it's potent, basically.
There's no singular 8 square inches on the body that's as complex as this, just the way in which it that articulates, and the complexity and all the joints and the expressiveness, and I feel like it's just rich for a sculptor to work with, or anyone really, because it's so delicious, that you have to dig in and understand all this stuff and all these relationships. And I think Tip was saying yesterday, if you asked everyone to go home and make a hand but don't look at any models, they get it so wrong.
On all bodies and faces, whatever I'm sculpting, I get really teeny. I have to sort of shrink myself in order to be able to understand this as landscape. So I really like thinking about this as territory. And it's like, if I'm an inchworm, I'm kind of crawling over, and then I imagine, all right, what's the highest lookout point? If I would go, and then you get down into these sort of grooves, and then you get this flat side of the finger. So it makes you have to get really sensitive in terms of the details of the planes and all of where you'd have a hard time crossing over all of the lumpy stuff, and then the hard back of the hand against the soft palm. There's just a lot to hands, the color differentiation. So there's a lot of subtlety. It's not just these tube fingers, and so it's like any subject. The more into it you get, the more amazed you can't help but be.
There are things I marvel at, and where she heightens my awareness about what art is, actually. And one is that she's worked enormously hard, and will have to probably continue to do it the rest of her life, just to understand the craft end of what she does. Because I don't think figurative sculptors ever fully master the body or fully master anatomy. They're always trying to learn how to go deeper into that. It's a lifelong pursuit. She deals with the psychology of being alive and somehow embeds that in the figure, and does it in very, very complicated ways that are very abstract and hard to nail down and hard to hit right on the money, and so you end up, her work is like a conduit to an idea. It doesn't stop at the object where you marvel at what a wonderful maker she is. You kind of just sail past that. and enter into the world of her ideas, you know. And so it makes you reflect on life. Maybe it touches something in your own experience, which is great if you have it. If not, maybe it just allows you to reflect on the value of being alive or the quality of being alive.
There's so much expectation of making good stuff, having a good product at the end of making anything. And it's just almost, it can kind of kill the process of discovery. And he's all about, let's discover what can happen if you do this and that. So I just take my hat off to Tony. He's just brave. It's way more safe to do, even though I feel like this whole thing could flub in a big way. It's a little safer to have all the anatomy books in front of you, the charts, the handouts, and I have sort of more of a map to go on.
To make self-portraits as an older woman that are nude, I don't see anybody doing that. Very, very rare. It takes a kind of personal security and
a shamelessness,
and complete shamelessness. And no, I mean that is, and to take on the kinds of subject matter that you do as well, that are sometimes pretty edgy and may even get you into trouble, you know. But it doesn't stop you, and that's artistic courage, you know. Tip's wallflower child, you know, the poor girl at the dance that no one will dance with. Just all I mean, we all understand that, you know, and so somehow Tip can make you feel that pain, you know. It's you know, that's what great art does, makes you feel things and examine things and think about things, and you know. So I really admire Tip on both ends, the craft end it's never going to stop, and the ambition too. You know, it's not that easy to make this work, even for young, muscular people, and yet she seems to be becoming more and more ambitious with the scale of her work and all those things. So there's nothing about Tip I don't admire artistically. I grew up wanting to be a baseball player, except I hated baseball players, to be around them. I loved the game, but I didn't like the people, you know. And I was so relieved to finally land in the world of art. And as time has gone on, I value artists so much. I admire them so much, and I'm at their service, really, is the way I feel.
The goal, ultimately, is to find our voice. Deviations and labyrinths that we go in order to finally, but we're all aiming for that same truth, like we're all aiming to know God ultimately, I think.
My first memory in life was maybe I was 3, and I was sitting in my grandmother's lap, and she was drawing little faces on my fingernails and singing songs.
Oh.
That's my first memory in life, was the hand.
Oh, that's so cute. My mother used to pick up her skin. Now I can do it. I can pick it up, and it really doesn't snap back, and it's like, oh dear.
Not good.
Oh dear.
Oh dear.